Good morning, Davina. How you doing? You well?
Morning, I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm blessed. Always, in all ways. We're here to talk about your new and latest book, your latest literary offering.
Hmm.
Riley finds his beat. Where was his beat? You know what I mean? Did he lose it? That is part. It's part of a series of Riley can do anything. You're kind of really what I really like about this whole series of books is you're kind of homing in on the young man, and I know that was a huge area of importance for young black boys out there in terms of representation. But talk about this latest book, Riley Finds His Beat. What's it about? What can people expect?
Feels like it's a long time coming because the last book came out in 2020, which was actually a slight deviation from the Riley series. That was the first Ella book, so that was the first book with a girl protagonist. That was Ella Has a Plan. That was 2020, and obviously we know how 2020 panned out. So after that, trying to get the next book out it felt slow, but like it was moving, but yet because of everything that was going on around us at the time, it was a long time coming, but here we are. The book is out now, so yeah, Riley finds his beat. It follows my original protagonist, which is young schoolboy Riley, and this time around his mission is to try and learn a new beat on the drums. And he's struggling. He is really, really, really struggling. His mum played the drums when she was in high school, so she's trying to teach him as her father used to teach her when she was younger, so she's trying to pass on the skill. But our Riley's struggling. He's just not getting it together. He practices, after school. He's trying his best, and he's just not coming together. So basically, his mum keeps giving him the same message that continue to practice, and you'll be sublime, but nothing will happen before it is time. So it's really a message about patience. It's about practice, and it's about perseverance. And I'm really, really delighted that the reviews have been really encouraging so far. I think people like the fact that it's not a kind of story where he practiced once and he got it. It's not that. Like, you see him, he's kind of struggling. And I think a lot of people can identify with that, not just children, adults as well. We try and learn a new skill. You're obviously very fortunate if you can get something first time around, but for a lot of people, you learn something new, and naturally we all grow up hearing practice makes perfect. And if at first you don't succeed, try and try again. So that's really the message of this book. It's about practice, it's about patience, it's about perseverance, but also the understanding that literally nothing is going to happen before it's time. So that's what it's about. The encouragement is there from his mom and everything, but this thing is not going to happen until it's time. And that's really the message that I'm trying to impart to young readers this time, that it might not happen straight away, but you give it your best shot, you persevere, and you'll get there in the end.
Yeah, no, it definitely comes through. My daughter picked up on it straight away, and
Mm-hmm.
she read it a couple of times, and gave me her review. It was a thumbs up, by the way.
Oh, good. Good. Thank
But
you.
I wonder, do you read it? Do you read it past your own children first before you bring the book to market?
Oh yeah, I mean they're always part of the process because both my books are inspired by my children. Riley is my son. The Ella book was about my daughter, who is Ella. So yeah, this one was a little bit of art imitating life as well, because for a period of time, Riley was actually getting drum lessons. So he had a drum teacher, and yeah, it was just, again, it was really interesting watching his development, watching his progress. So of course he was able to identify with the story. He, like, both my kids are they're beyond picture book level now, so I suppose the engagement isn't there necessarily as it would have been a few years ago. But yeah, I think he definitely liked it. He can see how it was art imitating his reality, and obviously also can understand that it is about practice, isn't it? You want to learn something new and you have to really put your mind to it. And so yeah, he gave it the thumbs up as well.
So,
Mm.
how have you found that the landscape has changed since you brought the first book in 2017? How have you found that in terms of the offerings for young black people to in books and
Mm.
representation, all of that stuff, has it changed?
I think it has. I think, slowly it's got better. I think for me, when I began my journey, I do feel that there was probably less on the market. But I'm also a firm believer in seek and ye shall find. So, the kind of notion that there's, really poor representation for, children of color in the world of children's literature is true, without a doubt. It's a fact. But I do think that if you want something, you'll seek it out. And I also think that perhaps some of the traditionalists are kind of used to looking on particular avenues. They perhaps feel like if you walk into a bookstore and you don't see a Black book, it means that there are no Black books, and that's just not the reality. I think if you go online and you put in specific searches for what you're looking for, you'll find things out there. And that's why I've always been a real ardent champion for independent authors as well, like myself, because I think sometimes we get so caught up in the debate about the publishing industry and what the publishing industry is doing, or rather, not doing for our children in terms of representation. But there are so many authors out there who have kind of circumnavigated that and put things out themselves. And I think that is really where we should be looking to as well. We should be looking to support those authors and those books because they are out there. So I think on that level, it's probably improved because there are people who are just deciding to do it themselves. What's the expression? If there's a story you want written and it's not out there, you kind of have to write it yourself. And I think there are a lot of authors who have decided to kind of follow that lead. So to answer the question, I think it has improved, maybe, minimally because of the publishing industry, but perhaps more broadly because of authors who have just decided, I'm going to go out there and do it. So I would definitely encourage book lovers, parents who want to find books for their children, and teachers as well who want to make their classrooms a more diverse place. Perhaps look a little bit beyond your local bookstore, or rather, especially the big chains. Look online, see what you can find. There's plenty out there if you're looking for it.
Yeah, let's stay with the business then, because it's difficult, if you're an independent author, as much as you champion them, in order to make it make sense financially, it's tough. So how have you found that whole space? And if you had any pearls of wisdom to offer others that have wanted to step into the arena, what would it be?
The reality is it's hard work, really. It's not necessarily going to be fruitful immediately. It is quite a hard slog because I often compare publishing to music, and I feel that music is leaps and bounds ahead in terms of the avenues in which independent artists have been able to kind of find ways to not only get their music out there, but to monetize it as well. I think the avenues aren't really so great for publishing because there are still certain limitations when it comes to certain avenues embracing indie authors. But it's certainly doable. I think there was the person who gave me a great bit of advice was one of my favorite playwrights, Roy Williams. And he says that you start with, don't get it right, get it written. So that is the first thing. You get your ideas down on paper. You have to start somewhere. And once you've got an idea, you build on it. It might not come to you in one sitting, but you certainly have to just build on it, come back to it. If it doesn't feel right, you may well abandon it, or it might be something else, just another experience that gives you a little bit, adds to that inspiration, and you take it from there. So that's obviously the first part. Get your story written, build it. I used to write my stories back and forth to work on the train on my old phone. Back then it was I think it was my BlackBerry. Back then I used to jot down ideas on my phone or whatever device it was. And from there, once you've got it written, it really depends. It depends what channel that you want to go down. Some people might, really feel like they want an agent. So they'll, perhaps send their draft to various different agents, maybe in the hope that they might secure an agent who will then kind of take the journey for them. Some people might decide that they're going to just put it out directly. So there are definitely means by which you can it's print on demand. There's services whereby you can just literally put your book through a channel and it will be printed for you. So I think actually that's a great starting place for a lot of independent authors, because that way, you don't necessarily have to find a printer and all the rest of it. You can just, send it through a channel in which it's printed and then sent out for you. So I think that would probably be a very good starting place for people who want to do it in the simplest, most seamless and potentially most cost-effective way. So, but there are most definitely ways to kind of get your books out there without necessarily being part of the major publishing machine.
So now that you've got this one done, first book in 3 years,
Mm.
are you going to be looking to put more out quicker, or are you happy with where you are? Do you have a period of promoting the current book that's out? How does it work?
I mean, for me, again, as indie, it's like we're just learning. We're learning book by book, that's the thing with us. So I mean, is there a plan? I mean, the plan is just to keep promoting. The plan is to just kind of distribute it as widely as possible, linking up with as many bookshops as will take the book. And that's really it. That's always been our channel, really, is to just kind of spread the word as widely as possible. But really, we are our own distributors. So my books are predominantly available via my website. That is really kind of my strongest drive this time around, because I mean, of course, my books, they are available in various different independent bookstores, also on Amazon, of course. But it's also kind of directing it back to source, So for this particular run, I would really encouraging people to come directly to my website where the new book and all the books are available. And then, beyond that, there will be more books. But for the foreseeable, it's taken long enough to get this book out. So the focus is going to be on this one for the foreseeable.
All right, fair enough. I mean, look, Riley and Ella stolen the headlines. Any more characters that you're going to kind of introduce moving forward? That's kind of what I wanted to get to, but I understand what you said about
no, definitely. There is another book, actually. It's actually done, dusted and printed, but again, it's just about schedules. Again, it's in terms of how long are you going to use for one, and that's another good thing about indie publishing as well. Like, I suppose within traditional publishing, I think everybody's kind of got their, not so much shelf life, but they've got their time, in terms of like, we're going to promote for this length of time and then we kind of move on to the next one. Whereas when it's your own product, you can promote it, till thy kingdom come. So, and it's wonderful. As I said, my first book that came out in 2017, I'm really pleased to say that it's still going strong. People still buy it, and I can, promote it as much or as little as I want to. So the mechanism is there within my control to kind of promote it as much as I can. And that's the great thing about books. So to answer your actual question, yes, they're the next book, which has no slated release date at the moment, is completely different. I've gone for, I describe it as a baby book. It's called Just Fine, and it's again, it's a rhyming children's book. I kind of describe it as a almost like a lullaby. It's kind of like a book in a lullaby form, which is really, I'm really kind of targeting it to, I see it being for maybe young, not necessarily young, but new parents, to basically kind of encourage them that no matter what doubts you're going through or worries you go through about your child and its future, whether it's what's their first day of school going to be like, and what might happen then, and my baby's just been born, I'm going to take the child out for the first time after they've come back from the hospital, or from wherever they've been born, in terms of taking them out for that first time, that the apprehension, I guess, about the different stages of a child's young life. It's basically to encourage them that it will be just fine, with love and dedication, all will be well. And so, I am actually really pleased with that one. I do look forward to getting that out in the market. I don't know when that will be, but to answer your question, there is definitely more to come. I really just want to, I'm a rhyming author, so I really just want to use that skill and that vehicle in order to be able to bring different types of stories to life. And so there is that one, Just Fine, and there is another one that I've written as well, that I want to just kind of explore different avenues, different themes. So yes, most definitely more to come.
Riley can be anything. Riley knows he can. Ella has a plan, and now Riley finds his beat.
Mm-hmm.
The series continues. Davina, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Is there anything else you want to share with us before we part ways about this new book, or anything that's going on in the Riley world? Riley and Ella, sorry.
Riley and Ella, yeah. Of course, I encourage everybody to check out all the titles. Again, I'm just such a strong advocate for diverse books, and encourage people to check out not only my own, but of course, the plethora of books that are out there. And also, the big message is to remind people that, of course, books with Black protagonists are not just for Black children, they're for all children. And I just really hope that as time goes on, our books are not deemed as niche. They're kind of recognized as books that they serve a purpose for everybody. They serve a purpose for our children, because I'm really pleased and touched every time I get a parent telling me that, thanking me for creating a book that allows their child, to see themselves reflected. And that is absolutely an honor, and one of my big intentions. But alongside that, it's also allowing our books to be seen in the wider sphere as well, and not being deemed as niche, but allowing all children to have access to this level of diversity, and not even coin it as diversity, just complete normality. This is normality. We all exist, and I think all children have the right to see themselves and also to see others, and kind of understand that this is not odd, this is not niche, this is norm. So again, these books are for us, but they're also for everybody, and I hope they touch children, continue to touch children, and be embraced by children throughout the world.